Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Ronnie. So this is gonna be focused. This is my reflective video for week one, and I'll be talking about dyslexia and connecting it with the following: literacy development, literacy attainment, and literacy instruction. Okay. So first things first. What is dyslexia? So, dyslexia is a neurobiological learning disability that primarily causes difficulties with accurate and fluent word of reading, spelling, and decoding. It is unexpected in relation to a person's cognitive abilities and often causes secondary challenges with reading and comprehension and vocabulary growth. So here's some stats. According to the Dyslexia Center of Utah, 1 of 5 students, so 20% of the population, have a language-based learning disability, and then within that umbrella happens to be dyslexia. So here's some key issues with dyslexia in reading. So they're very slow in acquired reading skills. It's very slow and awkward. They're trouble reading familiar words, often making wild guesses because they cannot make the sound of the word. Sometimes. And they would often or not, they're going to avoid doing read aloud activities. Examples of speaking, okay? A search of a specific word that ends up a vague language such as stuff or thing without naming the object. So there's a lot of pauses and hesitations and using the word so those confusing pauses, all right? So they also get confused with words that sound alike with tornado, volcano, and substituting lotion for ocean. Mispronouncing long, unfamiliar, complicated words, and they also need extra time to respond to questions. And in regards to school and life, they have trouble remembering dates, names, and telephone numbers, and random lists, struggles to finish tests on time. They have extreme difficulty in learning a foreign language. They have very messy handwriting, poor spelling, and they have a low self-esteem. Things that we need to do to make those connections in regards to literacy development, literacy attainment, and literacy instruction. So first of all, literacy development is the lifelong, continuous process of acquiring and improving the skills needed to read, write, listen, and speak, and communicate. It is the foundation for academic success, cognitive growth, and independent learning. So one thing specifically for second through high schoolers, I feel like those are the toughest stages, especially when it comes to socializing with peers. When it comes to reading, dyslexic students avoid read alouds and in order to avoid humiliation and from their avoid humiliation from their peers when they're mispronouncing long, unfamiliar words and complicated words. And again, it also affects their self-worth. And as an educator, I feel that it's very important to leverage their strengths and their interest in developing their literacy developments. Excuse me. So most dyslexic students excel in areas in math, computer, visual arts, conceptual subjects, philosophy, biology, social studies, neuroscience, and creative writing. Anything that is not dependent on reading. Realizing their interests may elicit their motivation to read. So, for instance, if they enjoy cooking, they want to be reading cooking books or culinary magazines. However, if they struggle in reading, but they have the desire to read what interests them, they'll be more likely, more focused, and they will specialize in that. And I feel that our dyslexic students will be more focused in their interests and may excel in conceptualizing, reasoning, imagination, and abstraction while making connections to the subject matter and content literacy. So moving on to literacy attainment. Literacy attainment is the successful acquisition of demonstration of reading, writing, and comprehension skills. It measures an individual's actual ability to use written language to function in society, achieve goals, and develop knowledge rather than just number of years they spent in school. So here's some things. So mastering of phonics would be the key for a literacy attainment for dyslexic students, because they are making the connections with individual sounds and how the sounds connect to the letters. As they continue the mastery of phonics, it becomes fluency by encountering words repeatedly, which has them become visual word memory. Over time, as the dyslexic reader becomes more skilled, the back of their brain increasingly recognizes the words by sight and treated such words almost like pictures, which is the process becomes brain network integration. As the brain network integration becomes literacy attainment for dyslexic students, they reach a high level of confidence, and their brain becomes more malleable to learn new information. In addition, as they continue to practice their words with rigorous repetition, words and sentences become fluency. With assistance of explicit instruction and intervention, these students can sustain literacy attainment. Last but not least, we're going to go ahead and talk on literacy instruction. Definition first. It is the explicit teaching of reading, writing, and speaking and listening skills. It is the goal to develop fluent and confident communicators can easily comprehend and express the ideas across academic subjects and daily life. So going back to the YouTube clip on Ryan. So this was a student that overcome adversity from the from her early life and up to her adulthood. The biggest impact with her literacy instruction was the involvement of her mother. Her mother was a supporter in literacy instruction, and what she did was she provided recorded read-alongs so Ryan can follow along. The parental support from Ryan's mom makes a huge impact because it's because she's investing into her child and getting them, try to get her not only overcome her dyslexic I lost the word. Basically, her being like her obstacle. It just comes down to she's just investing into Ryan to be prepared to be a contributor of society. So one of Ryan's interests is that she likes reading R.L. Stein books in her youth, and one other thing she likes to do is that she has good organization skills that she developed when she got into college. In her time throughout her schooling, she had perseverance. She overcome adversity throughout the schooling years and additional support from school, and her literacy development helped her stay intact and focus on her goals. Just one thing I also want to point out on another video was the takeaway of Dr. Shaywitz's video and her advice to parents. Is supporting reading at home, and that's also key for her development. One thing that she stated, she emphasized that parents are highly encouraged to read with their children. In addition, fluency. She describes fluency as a bridge to reading comprehension. Such advice, literacy development includes reading to children at least 15 minutes a day, paired reading poetry, and participating in Reader's Theater. So I never heard of Reader's Theater, but basically what it is, you basically read like a script, and you're like acting and projecting, and you are kind of like reading out loud, but you're being very expressive, and you're utilizing vocal expression, the changes of your voice, your intonation, and the characterization, and I think the Reader's Theater is a good way to boost, students' own self-confidence and also development of literacy. So yeah, well, thank you for your time, and this concludes my reflection regarding to week 1. Have a good day. Bye bye.